Excellent. And I was just going to say, we're going to record this, and Lee was going to hit the record button. So now we're all set to go. Thanks. And ladies and gentlemen, here's Christina Stephenson.
Well, thank you again so much for having me. My name is Christina Stephenson, and I'm running for Labor Commissioner. And just so folks know, I know this is a race that kind of flies under the radar. So the Labor Commissioner oversees the Bureau of Labor and Industries. Some people know it as BOLI. And the four principal duties of the agency are to protect the civil rights of Oregonians in the workplace, in housing, and in public spaces, to enforce compliance with our wage and hour laws. So that's your meal break, your rest break, your overtime, to help train employers to comply with those laws, and then to promote the development of a highly skilled workforce through our apprenticeship programs. And the way I see it is, at its core, the Labor Commissioner's job is just to make sure that as Oregon's economy grows and changes, that the workers, the employers, the side hustlers, the dreamers, everybody who makes our economy run, that they know they have someone in their corner, someone who's looking out for them, who wants them to succeed. And, I was born and raised here in Oregon. I've seen a lot of ups and downs, but I'm running for Labor Commissioner because I actually fundamentally believe that Oregon should be the best place to live and work and have your business. And my day job is representing workers mostly when they're getting a raw deal, when their employers are not following the rules enshrined by the Bureau of Labor and Industries. So rules like paying employees all their wages, not discriminating against folks on the basis of their race, not retaliating against people because they've blown the whistle on safety concerns. My tiny law firm has gone toe to toe with Wall Street's biggest banks, billion-dollar companies like Wells Fargo, and we did so on behalf of an employee who was blowing the whistle on fraud, and we beat them in court. I'm damn proud of that. But I know there's still so many employees that don't even know their rights. They don't know the help they can receive from BOLI. And I also own and operate a business, a business I started at the kitchen table when my son was just 3 months old. I know what it means to run payroll every month, including during a global pandemic. I've always run a business where I pay my employees well before I pay myself. My staff know we're looking out for them. They're safe, protected, fairly compensated. But again, I know many employers don't know their responsibilities and the help that they can receive from BOLI. So, at the end of the day, I believe we really can create the type of Oregon we want, and BOLI is a huge part of that. So it's probably no surprise to any of us, Oregon's working families and small businesses. I mean, we're all struggling with rising costs. And so that's why I'm going to be really laser focused on ways where BOLI can help people earn a raise, whether or not they have a college degree. And so that's focusing on job training to help our businesses, help our workers. We want to invest in apprenticeship programs and create more school to career pathways by supporting career and technical education, staff our schools, our hospitals, our construction sites by making this pathway more accessible. And of course, once we get folks into jobs, we want to make sure that their rights are protected, rights like guaranteed sick days, family leave, fair wages. So these are the principal functions of BOLI, and you've heard, enforcing civil rights law. I've spent tens of thousands of hours with the law that is enforced by BOLI. I've been working with BOLI for over a decade on behalf of both workers and also helping employers comply with BOLI's rules. So I'm excited to continue that as Labor Commissioner.
I think I'll cheat and jump in here with my own question first as we start the Q&A. To be honest, I'm not real familiar with BOLI. I mean, obviously, I recognize the term. Is their work mostly like 80% focused on the employee and trying to get employers to abide by the law?
Well, so what I would say is right now, Foley has pretty regularly had about 2,000 civil rights complaints. And so when we're talking about civil rights complaints, the vast majority of those are workplace complaints, some in housing, some in public spaces. And we're talking about people who are discriminated against based on their age, their race, the fact that they blew the whistle on some unlawful conduct. Maybe they had a workers' comp injury and were retaliated against, or maybe they wanted to take family leave and were denied that or retaliated against for taking it. So those are the biggest core of the cases that BOLI has. And then the last data I saw, I think we're in the 1,500 range for active wage and hour investigations. I don't have as much visibility into how many of those are prevailing wage versus your wage and hour, meal break, rest break, overtime. But that's a big part of it. And then we've got technical assistance for employers. We've got 500,000 employers in the state, and technical assistance has 6 people in it. And so in terms of the magnitude of what could be done, I think technical assistance is relatively small at this juncture, and BOLI generally has been quite small, and it actually has less employees in it than it had in the 90s. And of course, Oregon's only gotten bigger since that time. So those are the big pieces. And then the apprenticeship and training division also has, has staff in it, and that has been increased recently for 2 reasons. One is our current commissioner, Val Foyle, was able to secure funding for about a 30% increase in BOLI's overall budget. And then the apprenticeship and training division got a one-time infusion of support from the Oregon legislature through the Future Ready Oregon Act, which gives BOLI about $20 million. A little over 18 million of that is going to be sent out in the form of grants for pre-apprenticeship programs and healthcare, manufacturing, and construction, and then apprenticeship programs in healthcare and manufacturing.
So then this goes back to one of your earlier comments. So if you wanted to boost funding for different kinds of job training and stuff, would you have to find legislators to help put that forward, or can you work kind of jointly with them and kind of put it together jointly?
Yes, I would say it would be coming through BOLI's budget. And one of the other things that I've been talking with our congressional delegation about recently is, we have the Infrastructure Act, we have the Inflation Reduction Act, we have the CHIPS bill. And so where BOLI can, help to utilize those resources to get folks the training they need to get into these great industries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of that there is a lot of discretional money that flows to the states on how they implement that money.
Exactly.
Let me open it up more broadly for questions and answers. And again, because of this office and our inexperience with it, so it'll kind of take us a minute probably to formulate some meaningful questions. And this post, is it a 2 or a 4-year term? I can't remember.
4-year.
4-year. Okay. And Val served 1 or 2 terms?
1 term.
1 term. That's what I thought. Okay. Tina, if you can unmute. There you
go. Okay. Hi, my name is Tina Turner Morfitt, and I'm a retiree from the public employer system. And I used to work for the state Department of Corrections. So my view is, my question to you is that some workers have experienced difficulty in dealing with SAFE and no longer believe that the agency is representative of their needs when they're hurt on the job. How would you regain that workers' confidence in that agency?
Yeah, so for folks that aren't familiar, SAFE administers workers' compensation benefits. It's a state-funded insurer of workers' comp benefits. So an employee that gets hurt on the job. We have a no-fault system. So if you're hurt on the job, you should get benefits to compensate you for that harm. And SAFE administers those benefits and decides whether or not people should get them. Although it is a wholly different agency than BOLI, I do think it is important for BOLI to be working hand in hand with the workers' comp system, because BOLI does administer workers' comp retaliation, or anti-retaliation rather, provisions under the law. So if, for example, BOLI sees, we have, it goes through a process where it is determined whether or not there is evidence of discrimination. If evidence of discrimination for someone trying to get workers' comp benefits has been substantiated, BOLI ought to be working with the workers' comp division and letting them know that there are insurers in the system that are discriminating against people based on unlawfully based on their use of the system. Of course, they should know that. That's part of, there's no reason for us to not be working together, and the same goes the other way. When folks are using that system, they need to be partnered with BOLI so that they're not just thinking of their own narrow set of questions of, is this a compensable injury or not? They're also in that system seeing when retaliation has occurred and knowing that they need to refer it to BOLI so that workers' rights are vindicated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent. Any other questions? Aileen, was that a hand up?
Hi. I've been, whenever I go door to door for somebody, I tell them about you, because it's not going to say Dem by your name on the ballot. And if they read the voters pamphlet, they'll figure it out. But if they don't, they're not going to have a clue. So I'm very glad that you have these brochures down at the Marion County Dem's office. And I think it's good. I haven't seen our slate card yet, but I think you're on our slate card. Yeah, good. But if you can try to make sure, if you're ever down at the Dem's office, to make sure that their campaign, the other campaign managers have these, know that they're here, and ask them to take it with them when they go door to door, so that people will realize you're a Democrat right away, in case they wait till the last minute and just, look at the ballot and don't look at their voter pamphlet. So
Excellent point. Thank you, Aileen.
Great point. Yeah.
Great point.
Thank you.
And Christina, you probably know this. Are you familiar with the Neighborhood Leader Program?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I figured you were. There's a whole bunch of neighborhood leaders on this call, and we're all getting ready to get our slate cards here in the next several days. So, and we always tell people at the door to vote all the way down the ballot. We just try to beat them over the head with that, and they still don't do it. We're trying though. I don't know if I can say beat over the head to you in technical terms and not get in trouble. So maybe I shouldn't have said that. But for everybody on the call, yeah, that's true. Christina is not identified as a Dem on the ballot, but she's on the ballot, and it's a very important office. And we want to make sure we've got somebody as competent as her in that seat. So thanks so much for bringing that up, Aileen. Marcia.
Yes, I wonder if you know which industries have the most wage and hour disputes?
That's such a great question. And I'll tell you, one of the things that is just starting to be implemented at BOLI is this concept. It's called strategic enforcement. And there's a number of different pieces of it. And it comes to us via Rutgers University, actually, and they've done pilot programs in other, municipalities around the country. But it starts out with the proposition which we have, which is limited resources. How do we utilize them? And the first step in their process is to gather the information on where the worst sectors are, with the idea being that we get a lot more bang for our buck if we go into the worst sectors and use all of the powers of the agencies, to go after repeat offenders, really intentional wage theft, and send a message to the industry as a whole. Bully takes this seriously, and we are actually going to do something about it. So part of that, though, is again finding, just using the data that Bully has about where the worst offenders are. And some of the preliminary data that I've heard is, it is in the construction industry, it is in restaurants, and it is in home care.
Thank you. I wondered about the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christina, also, I'd like to invite you to enter into the chat if you've got a website or any additional information where people could find more information about your campaign or how they could help out. If you can just put that there, we look at how fast you are. You're right there already. That would be great. Thank you so much. Are there any more questions before we let Christina give us her closing statement? Tina.
So this next question has to do with home health care and also nursing homes. And right now, the employers are not, it's in my impression, they're not regulated to do security background checks on people that work in those facilities. What are your views on that? And is this something that you think comes under Bully?
I don't know off the top of my head the answer to that question, because we have a pretty complicated system when it comes to the state actually employs the vast majority of our home health care workers. And I would be surprised if the state did not do background checks. And I think it's really appropriate to do so. In any event, employers have an obligation through a number of different laws in Oregon to keep their workers safe. And it is an industry where we have seen a ton of sexual harassment, a ton of assault, discrimination based on race. So to me, it would be incumbent upon an employer who wants to do their best, who wants to provide what is legally required, which is a safe environment, to make sure that the people that they're hiring are able, to deliver that for employees.
Yeah, good question. Thanks, Tina. Christina, can you give us your best 5-minute closing statement on why the people we talk to at the door should give you their vote?
Well, I know Bully really flies under the radar. So first I would tell people a couple of things about it. Number one, we had those terrible wildfires not long ago. And something that Bully was able to do really quickly was to make it so that clarify the administrative rules so that folks that were needing to evacuate would have job protection. The last thing you want to have to worry about is, am I going to lose my job if I go evacuate right now? Really similar things happened during the pandemic too, where, at the drop of the hat, mothers and other caregivers like me, we had to care for our children, do remote learning, all kinds of things on the drop of a hat. And Bully clarified the administrative rules to give, job protection for leave associated with just caring for your child during these emergencies. So Bully has demonstrated itself to be really relevant and responsive to people's lives. The place where we, getting a little bit in the wonky space, Bully is the first and last word sometimes in what is considered discrimination in our state, interpreting our laws with regard to anti-discrimination. And we have an incredibly conservative Supreme Court right now. And what we have seen in the development of civil rights law right now this is what the Court of Appeals has told us, is that whoever is in this position, they're going to have to walk a tightrope in order to balance our non-discrimination laws with the free association rights of other folks. It is a complicated legal place for us to be. And so I think it's important to have a civil rights lawyer doing that work. Like I said, I've spent tens of thousands of hours with the law that is enforced by this agency, and there's nobody who's going to be better equipped to walk that tightrope. You know, I have, you know, this is just a role that I'm uniquely positioned to execute and serve Oregonians. And I think that this is why I have earned such a wide array of endorsements. You know, over 100 elected officials and organizations, individuals, small business owners, Independent Party of Oregon, you know, last 5 labor commissioners.
Wow.
And you know, unanimous support from unions and the OLCD, you know, the environmental community, pro-choice Oregon, Planned Parenthood. I mean, this is in a place where it's hard to find consensus. I think this is one place where everyone can agree that I am the person for this job.
That's awesome. I just have one clarification. You said the Supreme Court is extremely conservative. You did mean the big Supreme Court, right?
I did. United States Supreme Court, yes.
Our state isn't in that situation, is it?
No, we have a pretty great.
Just making sure, because that would have been really bad news. I just confirming that for my own heart. That's all. Christina, thanks so much for joining us. Good luck with your campaign, and we know you're going to win. So, thank you.
Thanks.